purple wood. And part of the family, our family lore, is that my dad was part Indigenous, and we grew up knowing this. And it was very, it was very commonplace too. I mean, mixed families in the Outaouais region and the National Capital region are not uncommon. And my parents adopted an Anishinaabe Algonquin son. And so my family was very, very much steeped in this, these stories of indigeneity, or this acknowledgement of indigeneity. It would be hard not to be, because our region also is very much informed. I mean, this is very typical of regions north and here too, obviously. Excuse me. Anyhow, so my mom had sent me this picture last summer, and I was reminded of the day we went to adopt my brother. Excuse me. Sorry, I may have to cough. All right. À l'orée du bois pourpre. A woman holds you, her hair parted down the middle, braided like a wheat spike culled from the fatlands. All around, trees have been felled, not a blueberry to be found, no fruit to gather in a basket or the lifted edge of a skirt, only the scars of mining and logging and racism. This is your grandmother, the only rooted tree in town, the one you honored by taking us to the orphanage, nothing more than a little house on the shore of black water. There they lined up the children, a blue-eyed baby in the arms of a nurse, a child with flaxen hair, and the Indian, Fille Noir, they called him, the dark one. They said, take anyone you want. You chose the Algonquin, Anishinaabe, the songs of your grandmother still singing in your ear. You chose the brown boy and called him Ajidamo. Sorry for that coughing.
I like that.
Thanks, Mama.
Not the coughing, but the poem.
So this next poem is entitled Descendant Viking, and here we're in Oslo. And this is a poem inspired by a trip that I took with my sweetheart, who is, part Norwegian, and who was we were both just terribly moved. I don't know if anybody have been to the Viking Museum in Oslo, but we were just incredibly moved by these vessels. And so here's an attempt at a poem. Descendant Viking. Under the arches of an old church rests a ghost of a vessel, raised on a pedestal as if navigating the black waters that wake beyond these doors. I watch you, your sky blue eyes lit, beholding the wooden ship carved with crude precision, order and beauty, a siren song as counterpoint to the chaos and the many bitter nights drifting beneath crystalline skies. I watch you drowning in the sunlight filtered through the stained glass windows, the narrator of your own deep water stories, how your people were brave, how they were cruel, how they could not quench their fiery thirst, their icy fury. Nothing prepares you for the twisted tendril of fate that binds and returns deep to the blue of your skin, deep to the ocean in your eyes, to your coarse white hair, to every Norse bone in your body. But you are good and kind, a surfer dude from Southern California who knows every word to immigrant song but can't dress for the cold. This ship is a doweled love knot to belonging. Beautiful man, you are a tether from the future to a history that lies beyond these shores.
Good.
Thanks, Mama. You're funny. All right, so this poem, and now we're in Tunisia, and this poem is entitled Funeral for the Arab Spring. And I wrote this kind of, I don't know, I've kind of been, I was in Tunisia just before the Arab Spring, and this seems to be kind of a sad natural history of my life. It seems I have, in French we say frôler, I have come close to 4 civil wars. So I was in Guatemala during the Civil War in the early 90s. I was in Canada during the Oka crisis, or what is otherwise known as the rebellion at Kanasatake, which was a land dispute between the Mohawks and the Canadian government, in which the Canadian government sent in the army. I was a post-grad student in what used to be Yugoslavia, just before a war broke out there, and then finally in Tunisia just before the Arab Spring. And I will tell you that there was an electricity kind of it was like, in French we say fribille. There was an electricity in the air at that time that I obviously couldn't name, but alas, here we are, Funeral for the Arab Spring. I was there in the new spring, left my footprints upon the swollen sand, and the green sea, like others, colluded in my erasure. I stood under the shade of mosques and churches while blue-eyed children played, ate at long tables, in the center a cornucopia of delicacies. I wondered how many promises had been broken and who might be starving. A long time ago, there was little here, only a story in which the sand was king. But always the steadfast sea, heralding the world beyond its shores, and the blue doors, and Ramadan, and always the sweet tea, and the drink, and always sundown and gardens behind walls, always the people living, always thinking, always speaking and writing, even when it was forbidden. So this next poem is entitled Lament for the Orange Moon, and this is actually my kind of first pandemic poem, and it was inspired by a memory of being able to travel and of a moment in the souks in Tunis where I taught my son to barter. And it was the most enabled mothering experience, or the most, I don't know, that's not the right word, but I felt the most confident as a mother as I ever had when we were in that souk together and I was able to teach him how to barter. It's the most capable I've ever felt as a mother. So, and I couldn't find an orange moon, but here's another blue door. These are the blue doors of Sidi Bou Said, which is a town outside of Tunis. Lament on an orange moon. Wildflowers take down old-growth forests. Particulate reddens the cresting moon. Sepia snow falling, tangerine light. The color of the soft leather sandals I bought from a shopkeeper in Tunis. when the world could be known, and my boy and I strolled hand in hand through the narrows of the souk. It was Ramadan, under a moody sky. That day I taught him to barter for a small brass lamp. Later we walked into the desert. Behind us, footprints in ash, a plume of dust, a disappearing world. And so this is the last poem that I have for you this evening. And this one is entitled Ma tante, which is a colloquial way of saying my aunt. And this poem is inspired. My mother says the most amazing and poetic things. And she often inspires me to write poems. And sadly, a cousin passed away maybe 4 weeks ago. And sorry. Oh, very good. Oh, Jean, I just saw Jean's chat. We'll have to talk about that, Jean.
Yes.
So my cousin sadly passed away about 4 weeks ago. And my mom told me about a dream that she had on the evening of the day that he passed away, that he died. And so here we are, ma tante, which means my aunt. Your smile was light enough, or so we thought. You who carried stones to the garden, stateless and still, like heirlooms, like relics to your inevitable overthrow. And so today, the stories take us north, to grief's familiar forest, to familial ground, where in the sweet pink of morning, you arrive at my door to say, I'm leaving now.
Great.
Thanks, Mama.
That was wonderful.
Yeah.
That was really, I don't know, am I muted? It was wonderful, Nancy. Very moving.
Beautiful. I like the slideshow with it.
Yeah, it was great.
Visuals.
Thanks for having me, everyone. Thank you, Ron, for the invitation. It was lovely.
I want to open the floor up to everyone. A lot of times, we have readers on and we'd love to have an opportunity. Some of us just want to give some feedback or just say something. Please, the floor is open.
Hi, am I on? I can never tell if I'm muted or not.
You certainly
Hello?
are, Bonnie. We hear you fine.
Oh, you can. Okay. Yeah, no, my husband's Canadian and he's actually from Ottawa, from the English-speaking side. So ever since I've been with him, which has been a long time now, I've always been hearing, and we went up there. When we lived back east, we used to go out and visit a lot. He still has family up there. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. And I really liked hearing about that. And it's interesting, though, you don't really have much of a Canadian accent. Have you been away for a long time?
I've been away for 25 years, I think.
Yeah. Because I didn't pick up. So once in a while, I pick up something from him too, a little different, like bean, or oot. They say oot. But no, I love the scenery up there too, and I loved your descriptions of the scenery from all around the world. Thank you.
I was in Tunis during the 6-Day War, Nancy, when it broke out, and I was on Avenue Bourguiba, that sort of like the Champs-Élysées street, with friends, and my ex-husband was a Holocaust survivor, and when the Arabs were going up to the American embassy with guns and really very shabby trucks that rattled and stuff like that, I couldn't pull him away he was just glued to it.